1993 Honda Prelude SI. This is a little bit of a curveball for me, out of left field. Get my seatbelt on. I was contacted by my mechanic, trusted and tried mechanic here, and he said I have a one owner 93 Prelude from a customer. They're ready to let it go. This thing, I can't remember the last time I saw a 4th gen Prelude this unmodified and original. Not to mention it's Milano red, it's an SI, it's a 5-speed, and it has a stack of records like you can't believe. I'll show you here shortly, but quick test drive here before I seal the deal, and I will let you know how it goes. Kind of loving this car. Some creaks in the back, but honestly, pretty dang nice. I've always loved the dash in these. Look how the 2-tier wrap around with the flat top. Later years of this car, they went to a more electroluminescent dash look with backlit gauges over here on this side. Very cool design, for sort of futuristic for its time. Typical Honda power draw when you hit the AC. Give that a chance to get rolling.
Money for that,
yeah,
like $7,000. So I ended up buying this.
Was your CRX an SI with the 5-speed too?
Oh, boy.
Same red, I'm guessing.
It was red.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was red.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was a great car. The CRX was a great car.
Yeah. Well, you should see how collectible those are now. But the CRX was unique because it was a 2-seat hatchback with literally no back seat, I think.
Right.
Like it just folded flat in the back.
Yeah, right. It was a great. It was
So-
fun.
has a fat back
It was a
seat.
fun
Yeah.
car.
There's my engine bay, and it needs a tender love and touch for sure, but the rest of the car is pretty darn nice. I do think it's interesting that the moonroof on these was a color match panel versus a tinted piece of glass. As I'm getting my first top off of gas, I'm reminded Julie in conversation said the car's name is Little Red and she takes premium, which is true. There's a little notice on the gas door here that says premium unleaded. So I am following suit and I will gas her up with premium. All right, first fuel up done, and now let's rock out to some CDs from back in the day. Look at that one, Brittany, what? I don't know, let's see what we got. Super happy with how the car drove home. It's just one of the best things about any Honda is that amazing 5-speed gearbox. The cruise control unfortunately is not working, and I have reason to believe the H23A is burning a little bit of oil. After an extended idle, I saw some smoke out the back, but from what I understand, that's fairly common on these. Even the prior generation, like mine, had sort of known challenges with that. But given the maintenance history on this one, I'm pretty sure it has easily another 219,000 miles left under its belt. By the way, I got a kick out of the fact that Julie was clear the car came with a club. This was obviously a theft deterrent device from 2 decades ago or more, where you would latch it onto the steering wheel and it would prevent full rotation of the wheel. So fun little piece of nostalgia that goes with the Prelude. Not so sure I'm gonna carry it around with me, but it's fun to have anyway. I don't think I've seen Honda stainless steel exhaust tips this bad in my entire history of polishing exhaust tips. Those things are absolutely black, but let's change that right now. Night and day difference right there. Back to my bookkeeping habits here. So as I mentioned, the Prelude came with a pretty good sized stack of records, and I already went ahead and logged them. Well, rather I put them in order and put them in plastic sheet protectors for this binder. I haven't yet gone through and created my Excel spreadsheet. That's going to take probably a good hour or two just to do the data entry piece there. But in the meantime, I wanted to show you a little bit about what the car came with and why I'm so excited about some of the documentation. So interestingly enough, these Preludes, 4th gen anyway, don't have much of a glove compartment. I haven't yet even checked to see if this will fit in there, but there's like this little tray basically on the passenger side of the dash that pops down, and if anything it might have room for this, but there's really not much space in there. So the original manual came with the car with original owner's information filled out on the inside cover. We know Honda has historically always used to do that, which is cool. And this was the oldest piece of paper that came with the car, and it shows it did originate here in Arizona. And what's interesting is that 7900 Autoplex loop in Tempe is no longer a Honda dealership. There is a Honda dealership on that loop, but it's moved down. So something changed in the infrastructure down there to where I think it's either now a surface lot or a used car lot of some other nature. But Julie bought the car on June 2nd of 1993. And as I mentioned previously, she used to have a CRX SI that she traded. And also she did tell me too that she later on, actually this Prelude spent about 7 years with her dad, and then she took it back, and then later she upgraded to a newer Civic 6-speed, and that was short-lived. She didn't really care much for the Civic, and she went back to the Prelude. So that's the oldest piece of paper I have with the car. Then we proceed from there to my Carfax report. I saved all the emissions check inspections in order. Here in Arizona, unless you have a collector insurance policy, you are required to do biannual emissions checks. And then we go to service records. So this, for the most part, is pretty heavy on 2008 and newer. There wasn't a lot from prior to that, but the good news is I did find some of the big ticket items like a timing belt in 2018. The Michelin tires were changed around the same time, and some heavy duty air conditioning work and things like that. So mechanically, I think the car seems pretty good to go for a good number of miles and years without a lot of effort. So I don't have much for memorabilia like magazine wise yet. This was a comparison test from Car and Driver that interestingly put the Integra GSR versus the 4th gen Prelude, and in this particular case the GSR came out on top. That was a brand new body style in 1994. And then some old service manual stuff, but she did also have the brochure. So this is essentially the exact car, a Milano red SI. Obviously This one does not have the spoiler, but I think I'm gonna add it. So it's cool because the salesperson was clearly walking her through a purchase here in terms of the option packaging. So the SI is obviously a significant horsepower bump, 135 versus 160. And then if you wanted to go even further with it, you could do the VTEC version, which was 190, 2.2 liter. So that was the H22, this was the H23. And then of course there was an electronic four-wheel steer package for this generation as compared to the one in the third gen, like my other car, the 89, has a mechanical four-wheel steering package. Another picture of almost exactly the same car. This was a cool color back in the day. I had a buddy in high school with one. Brittany blue-green metallic. Again, that very cool futuristic wraparound dash. We talked about this a little bit, the sunroof. It's not a moonroof, it's a sunroof because it's got opaque nature to it. It's body color painted instead of glass. And there you go, there's the final list of colors. Of course, the S version had hubcaps. And then here's the breakout. So somebody circled SI there because they were selling Julie on her SI. And that's that. So one thing that I thought, speaking back about the brochure or the owner's manual, I don't know if some of you have probably flipped through yours and seen this, but there used to be a section back in the day where Honda would outline some of the needed intervals and maintenance items. So it looks like this is one of the few cases I've seen where somebody actually used this grid to track their maintenance. And you can see here, for example, September of 1993, there was maybe a 1,000-mile service. 11/18 of 95, a 30K, 4/5 of 97, a 45,000. So even though there weren't receipts for some of this stuff prior to 2008, I do have this, which is better than nothing. And it really, the fact that Julie and her husband went through and maintained the car to the point of putting it in here, I think speaks to sort of the intent where they knew they were going to keep the car for a long time. And they did, 31 years to be exact. And that's the kind of ownership story I love. You know, people who are committed, people who don't give up on a car even when, you know, faced with something mechanical or an accident or something, discontinued parts, which we're all very familiar with. But there's a level of commitment that it takes to be an enthusiast of these older Japanese cars, or really any classic car for that matter. And that's part of the thrill of the ownership experience. So I'm super happy with the stuff that came with the car, and I'm eager to continue to keep up the records and add to it to take this car to the next level. Yeah, check this out. I came back to put the manual inside this itty bitty little compartment, and there's barely room, like a little miniature shelf there where it can sit. And then you close this little thing and twist it sideways. But yeah, there's not much dash room. So one of the things that Julie and Bob added to the car was a couple of cup holders here that retract. I'm not sure if I'll keep those or not, but a lot of dummy switches here. Interesting sort of 2+2 layout with that. You can't even really try to put a third person back there. And yeah, the WeatherTech floor mats in place of any kind of OEM mats, which I'd like to source a set if I could find them. Just kind of going through the checklist as we do, and this car's got a fun road ahead of it. I'm excited to see what I can do with it. The cool thing is I already got the exhaust tips polished earlier today, so start checking stuff off the list. Just wrapping up my first night drive with the Prelude, and it definitely feels like it's idling way too high, but these gauges are just so obnoxious. So right now, I don't even know. The temperature is so far over there, it's not even in your line of vision. And you can adjust the brightness here. Watch what happens when I turn it up a notch. I mean, holy cow. Those things just go sky high. Oh, now I can't get it to, I think I just broke the switch, to be honest with you. Anyway, yeah, it's quite the space age layout for sure. Finally finished the data entry on that huge stack of receipts. In fact, a lot of this stuff I found either via the Carfax report, via Bob and Julie's handwritten notes, or via the receipts. So everything in order comes out to about 140 lines of data. And all good news. It was very characteristic Honda maintenance, a couple timing belts, and overall an extremely well preserved Prelude.